What is going on, guys? Qustion right here, back at you with another video. Well, no, with another video, with a continuation of the Sony A7C. The super compact full frame camera that it was supposed to be for under $1,000. Now it's actually twice the price. And Sony Alpha Rumor just made some clarifications. We're gonna talk about this camera coming right up. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Qustion right here, and if you're new to this place, I'm a photographer from Miami, Florida. I do gear reviews, tutorials, and behind the scene. Also, I've been covering a lot of rumors, so if you enjoy this type of content, consider subscribing to the channel. Also, enable those notifications for more content like this one. So, let's go to the site, Sony Alpha Rumor, and let's see what they say. Rumor correction. Seems like the Sony A7C EVF is fixed, not a pop-up. Price, 2,100 euros. Alrighty, so we heard before that they got it from accurate sources that the camera was going to be called the A5 and that it was going to be for around $1,000, was going to compete with the ESRP. And we said there's nothing to compete about with the ESRP. In my opinion, the ESRP is just a decent camera. It's not a vlogging camera, and we knew that Sony wanted to cater specifically the vlogging market. Now, there's a lot of room to actually explore the vlogging market. Let's be honest. Everyone is at their house. Everyone wants to promote their business on social media. Everyone wants to take marketing in their own hands, film themselves, film their products. So yes, there is a need for vlogging cameras. However, the vlogging consumer or the content creator consumer has different needs than a professional cinematographer, for example, or a wedding photographer or a wedding videographer. So these products, you know, that vloggers are looking for right now, to be honest with you, they don't exist. There is not such a camera that you can say this is the perfect camera. The Sony ZV-1, for example, was a camera that was marketed as a vlogging camera. Like I mentioned in the past video, it misses the mark in many areas. Not enough wide lens, very bad image stabilization, no touchscreen capabilities, and the list goes on. Now, it is being said that this camera is going to inherit the same flip-out screen from the Sony A7III. And the Sony A7III happens to have the very first touchscreen flip-out screen from Sony. Now, it makes a lot of sense for that camera. So it makes a lot of sense for Sony to borrow that technology and bring it to a vlogging camera. But the other thing that we are gonna see on this camera, most likely, if this is going to be a perfectly catered camera for vloggers, is the image stabilization of the Sony A7III. So for what I've seen, the image stabilization of the Sony A7III is by far the best image stabilization of any full frame Sony camera, period, because the image stabilization, whether it is APS-C or full frame from Sony, is actually terrible. Now, Sony Alpha Rumor is saying the following. It looks like there was a misunderstanding with a source. He said the A7C has no pop-up flash, but instead a pop-up EVF. They corrected himself. Yes, there is no pop-up flash, but the EVF is fixed. So, yes, of course, you know, we've been saying that this camera was going to have the body of the A6600, and the A6600 has the EVF on the side, which is the camera that I'm filming right now. So when I've heard about the EVF, you know, I assumed that the EVF was going to be on the side. It makes a lot of sense for Sony to keep things, you know, minimal, with minimal changes, to reuse the most parts that they can. But when I heard about the pop-up EVF, I'm like, no, this cannot be. And actually made a comment in the video that chances are that we're hearing a lot of noise in these rumors. Now remember, if this is going to be a vlogging camera, they can actually remove the EVF completely and no one is going to complain. At least I wouldn't complain if what I'm going to be doing is looking at myself through a screen. So I think this camera is not going to have an EVF, or if it's going to have an EVF, it's going to have it just like the A6600, like I mentioned before. Those parts already exist. There's nothing to invent there. And the other thing that we're going to see is probably the same buttons in the same place, same dials and everything. Now, I wish that this camera would have more dials, at least a front dial, and this is something that a lot of the APS-C cameras are missing, something that we can use to change the aperture, for example. So right now, everything gets done from the back wheel. So yes, maybe we may see, you know, additional dials in this camera, but chances are that this camera is going to have, indeed, a rock-solid IBIS. And this is the reason why I never considered that camera being $1,000. Impossible. Bringing the latest technology, IBIS technology, to a vlogging camera is gonna cost them money. So We're gonna have IBIS in this camera. The camera's gonna be full frame. The size is gonna be compact. We need a light camera for vlogging. We're gonna have microphone input and we're gonna have headphone jack. We're gonna have only one SD card slot, UHS 2. We're gonna have the same flip out screen of the Sony A7III, and it's gonna have touchscreen capabilities. Now the problem that I see with this announcement is that we're not hearing much about a lineup of lenses, or call it the V line of lenses for vlogging lenses. And this is something where every single camera manufacturer is failing, at least in the full frame department. We have a lot of options for APS-C. We have from Sigma, from Tamron, we have from a lot of companies. We have lenses for, APS-C. We can also use full frame lenses. Now, for full frame to full frame, we don't have compact full frame lenses. And I think the vloggers are gonna need a zoom lens that is fast and that is compact. And that lens is gonna have to be around the 14 to 35 millimeters, 12 to 24 f2.8, you guys know what it costs. It's almost $3,000. The lens is huge, super heavy. But can Sony design a zoom lens that is wide, fast at the same time, light and compact? This is the reason why, I'm actually wondering, what about if this camera is actually an APS-C camera and not a full frame camera? Chances are that, we could actually hear it wrong, and this may be an APS-C camera, because it makes a lot of sense for this camera to reutilize all the portable, pocketable, light, and fast lenses that we have available. Like for example, right now, every time I travel, I bring my 16 Sigma, my 30, my 56 f1.4, my A6600, and I'm set. And my bundle is this big, and I can actually stuff everything in, little bag and go and travel, and I know that I'm gonna be covering all my needs. Also the 16 to 55 millimeter f2.8, it's a pretty nice focal length and very nice, aperture. So this is the reason why I think that we may see a curveball in this announcement. I wouldn't be surprised if this camera all of a sudden happens to be an APS-C camera, okay? It makes more sense to think about an APS-C camera than it is to think about full frame camera, especially because we know that they are due to announce the A7 IV. So what's gonna happen with the A7 IV? If this camera is gonna be over $2,000, Sony Alpha Rumor is saying that in Euro it's going to be 2,100 euros. So the Sony A7 III was a $2,000 when it was launched, I think 1998, something like that. And chances are that, the A7 IV may be $2,299, when it comes out. But if this camera is gonna be $2,100, and it's gonna be catered for, to vloggers, it's gonna be a small body, how much separation or segmentation they can create for the camera to be unique enough and for people to justify buying the A7C and not the A7 IV when the A7 IV comes out. So this is gonna wrap it up for today, guys. Drop your comments down below. Let me know what do you think about this announcement. Do you think that we can potentially see an APS-C camera rather than a full frame? We'd love to hear your feedback. And if you have enjoyed this content, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more content like this one. And until then, guys, see you in the next video. Take care.